Welcome, everybody, to episode 10 of the Bullseye Podcast. I'm here with Carl, Phil, and Tyler, and we have a special guest today. Welcome, Brooks Larkin.
Hey.
Round of applause. Let's
Thank
go.
you, fellas. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, just in case anyone who doesn't know this man, he was part of the offensive line that led USF to 264 rushing yards per game in 2017, which was number 2 nationally. Number 6 in total offense. 10th in total
Sterling
scoring.
Gilbert came in.
Let's get that salt going early, boys.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to drop any names.
Hey
It
guys,
is
we're
what
almost
it
at the
is.
one. We're almost to the 1 year anniversary of when we got rid of them and everyone rejoiced.
Got rid of or hired away?
Oh yeah, thank you, McNeese State.
Hey, they had a good year this year.
Yeah, they're McNeese State. I'm sure his offense could work somewhere else. That's not here, maybe.
So anyway, welcome Brooks. This is gonna be a fun show. So today's show we're gonna be doing a run through of the insane coaching hire USF just made. I don't know where they find the money. USF just took Jeff Scott from Clemson, offensive coordinator. Is he gonna turn the whole ship around, guys? Are we excited?
I'm excited.
Can we
That's for
appreciate
sure.
Can we appreciate the fact this is the first time since 2014 that Dabo Swinney's had to replace a coordinator? That just
That's
tells you the staying
stunning.
power. That tells you about the staying power at Clemson.
Yeah.
And the fact that we somehow, Michael Kelly and associates, convinced him to come to Tampa.
Well-run programs, man.
Yeah, they've got the longest streak of scoring 30-plus points, like in the history of college football.
I think so.
Like a
Yeah.
familiar record for some reason. I can't.
Yeah,
figure
why
it
does
out.
that sound familiar?
We were tied with them, I believe, when Taggart was there for that. I think his last year. I think we were tied with them for most games scoring 30-plus points. The thing was, Clemson kept going.
Yeah.
Right.
Good programs again.
It helps when you're on the top, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And that you have, I think he's coached, at minimum 10 NFL receivers at this point.
Yeah.
He's
But
like the wide
undershooting.
receiver whisperer, man. We're gonna go. I think we're gonna go from a team that can't catch a football to save our lives to a team that breeds wide receivers, which would be amazing. USF has some really good receivers from our past. It'd be really nice to get a guy like Rodney Adams back, a guy who can catch a ball and run 50 yards and not get bowled over or drop it or fumble the ball. Other stats about Jeff Scott: Clemson has been to a bowl game each of his 11 years as a full-time assistant and has won 3 national championships.
May I interject?
2 national championships, but they've been there 3 times.
May I interject?
Yes.
They lost to USF in one of those bowl games. Just a heads up.
But they've been there.
So as a way of making up for us beating them in the bowl game, we'll hang on to their coach for a couple years until Dabo retires.
Oh yeah, I don't think there's a
We
chance
could keep him that
we
long.
keep him. I don't think there's a chance we keep him for what's his contract, 5 years. If we get 3, we'll be lucky.
But hey, if we get 3, that means we're back to where we should be.
This is accurate.
Right.
And that's what was kind of hilarious on Twitter today. I saw a couple people who were upset of this news because they wanted Levitt or Taggart because they thought, longevity. We're a group of 5 program.
Calm down, boy.
Get a coach for 3 years.
Yeah, Carl, cut out that.
People are allowed to have opinions. Might be wrong sometimes, but they're allowed to have them.
Looking at you, Tyler.
Yeah, Tyler's been on the Levitt train this week.
Hey, I said I would like him as a DC, but he wasn't my first head coaching choice. Let's be clear.
It's all that
Actually,
nostalgia,
I was the one
man.
I was the one who predicted this last week, so I'm going to take this as a win.
Yeah, we have an accidental bullseye for once.
Yeah. Phil did something right.
Roll credits.
Hey, happens more times than you think.
I think we
do
should
think-
quit now while we're ahead.
I agree. No, that's it. We're done, guys. See ya.
as much as there's a part of me that would still like to see Levitt be DC. I think that ship's gone. I think the only way you were ever going to get him to come back as a DC is if you had one of his old players, be the head coach. That's the only way I think he would have come back as a DC.
But he's not going back to Florida State too, so I'm a little curious to see where he's going to end up.
I've heard FAU.
Levitt to FAU would be a wet dream for me because I want to go to that bowl game so bad since I live down here, and that would be so funny. I was on the Lane train too, man. I'm kind of sad he left the area.
Burn the MacBook.
No, I can't burn
talk
the
about
MacBook.
Lane Kiffin's first press conference at Ole Miss. They were like, "Hey, but what was your experience out on the tarmac to get to see all those people?" It's like, "Well, it's better than another tarmac experience I had."
Well, all right. So speaking of Levitt, I put out a poll on Twitter today. It read, "Which coordinator combo under Coach Scott would you rather see? Kerwin Bell and Brian G. Murray, Taggart and Levitt, Larry Scott and Levitt, or other?" Surprisingly, out of 20 votes, so all the listeners,
big,
we got 45% of them wanting to stick with the status quo, give Kerwin another year and let Brian do what Brian does on the defense. Nobody wants to see Taggart come back, apparently. It was like a 5% with Taggart and Levitt, and then 30% Larry Scott and Levitt. The other was 20%. The combo there was Bell and Levitt. So what do you guys think?
I do wonder how much of that is people just saying, well, Taggart was a head coach, he's not going to come VOC here. Or the fact that we only gave one Taggart option. Because I feel like there was more positive energy about Taggart than that poll would indicate. But yeah, I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. I was surprised because there was a lot of people this week who were like, Taggart should come back. And if you pair him with, I think it would appeal the entire USF fan base, the half that wanted Taggart and the half that wanted Levitt.
There's catering and there's bad decisions. And
yeah.
I'm not saying it would be a good idea.
I feel like Taggart coming back would appeal like our generation of the USF fans, and then Levitt coming back would appeal more the older generation of fans that when Tyler was growing up.
Yes.
Boomers.
Well,
I'm kidding.
That is another way of phrasing both generations, Carl. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But personally, would it be fair to assume right now the biggest thing the football program needs is to get the indoor practice facility built? Would that be a fair assumption?
Sure.
Yes.
Look at Twitter today. Look how the only people who are upset about this news are either Florida fans or the handful of people who just, it was Levitt or bust. So they needed a hire that was going to knock the apathy out of the program right now. And I saw more than a couple people on Twitter who's like, all right, I will put a little bit of money towards the indoor facility. This is the kind of momentum that Michael Kelly needs to hopefully have the shovel in the ground this semester.
Yeah. Ultimately, you're right. Brooks, do you have if you could pick anyone to be the offensive and defensive coordinators, who would you rather have? Could be anybody.
So I think I talked to one of you guys about, I forget who I go back and forth on Twitter on. But
it's me.
Okay, good. It's nice hearing your voice. But
I have a face for radio too.
Nice, me too.
Yet I'm the one with the radio job. Hang on.
I'm doing a split right now. You guys just can't see it.
The greatest split known to man.
Radio split.
Yes.
But so I'm a big fan of TJ Weist. I think he's an offensive guru. I think he was a huge part of that Gulf Coast offense. And Coach Kanan, who I played for at Manatee, he was the other big hand in that pot. And those two together were just phenomenal offensive minds. And like you said, we went nuts on offense with that offense in place. I don't know if we get TJ. I think he'd like to get back to college football. I don't know how much he wants. Was he an analyst at Baltimore?
He's the special teams coordinator.
Okay. So I don't know if he's liking the NFL or not, but I would love to see him back. And for defensive coordinator, I don't think they'd take Augie this soon because he doesn't have any experience, but Augie has a mind for football, especially the defensive side. But a more logical pick would be Coach Selvey. I love Coach Selvey. He's got NFL experience. He's got a real head for defense. The players love him. He's got a modern take on it. And that's one of the things that frustrates me about college football and even NFL football more so is they take older guys and they recycle them. They don't really give you those fresh takes on things. That's why I love Taggart at USF. He was young, he was full of energy, and he was going to hit the old defenses where it hurts, and he wasn't afraid to try his new stuff. But that's I think what got Coach Strong in a lot of trouble recently is he is so old school and so stubborn about it. He had his way. I remember they came in and before games for us, they actually took away our phones and headphones and they cut our music off. And if you were ever around the USF, that's one thing.
That's incredible.
I said I may have been a little stubborn when Coach Moore came around and said, "Put your cell phones in the bag," and I said, "You don't pay my bills. You are not taking my phone."
Oh,
that's the most savage shit I've ever heard in my entire life. You don't pay my bills.
This used to be the tagline of the episode.
But I as soon as I saw them doing that, I was like, you guys are gonna crush us because Taggart built a program based on that swagger, based on that we were just dogs, man. Like we called Dearness Johnson a junkyard dog for a reason because he was just a savage athlete, and whatever you asked him to do, he did it, and he did it to the best of his ability. And that's what we were doing. We had a hunger to just beat everyone. That first time we beat Temple was the first ranked opponent we had beaten at home, and who knows how long we stormed the field.
I was on that field.
I was on.
Yeah.
Not getting to storm that field is one of my greatest regrets as a USF student.
Oh right.
No, I'm in the video. I'm like front and center, and like everyone is like flying off the stands, and I reached over because I'm like a big fat dude, and I reached over to climb down slowly, and I watched a cop toss like a small child. It was terrible, and I just like ran by.
The only regret I have about that night is that every picture I have is with one of my exes, so I can't post them.
Oh no!
I was watching Colin's old video of the storm field. I did notice that. That was
yeah.
I will say I did enjoy watching. I'll always remember watching Sunday Countdown the next day. One of the beef studs getting the video of another beef stud absolutely juking the police officer, saying, "No, we won. We just beat the top 25 team to go bowl eligible. I'm getting on this field."
It was just some random guy, and the funny thing is that you actually see me go flying past the cop as he hits the ground.
Yeah, you got wheels.
I had no idea that he was there. Honestly, like I nearly got caught, yo.
That was the only time outside of intramural basketball where you got to use your track speed from when you were in high school.
To kind of go back to what you're saying though, like was Taggart's problem almost, it seems from an outside view at the beginning, was him wanting to run an offense that didn't fit. But he had the wherewithal to change it, or TJ did, or whoever made those decisions, because we don't know, obviously. But
the first
they
year
had the
that
ability.
they came in, the first year he came in, he wanted to run power.
Mm-hmm.
Power was the whatever you want to call it. It was his bread and butter.
Yeah.
He wanted to run it. I think you guys talked about it on episode 8 or 9, talking about how we need a coach for Florida athletes.
Mm-hmm.
That was a quote from Carl. Good job, Carl. You gotta take right.
Shit, what? You guys need to fire me.
So that being said, like I tell people that all the time, that Florida football is different. you can't run a Texas-style offense with Florida athletes because our offensive line is agile. We're not big, brute, Midwestern boys that are corn-fed. We eat Zaxby's. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's pub subs.
But yeah, we're pub sub fed.
Shout out to Publix, not a sponsor.
We'll get around and we'll move to the right places for you, as fast as you need us to. But running power behind, it's like trying to pull a boat with a Ferrari. Why are you trying to do that? Try to you got the horsepower or whatever, but it makes no sense. So that's why that's why the spread for Florida teams always works. You go back and look at Florida when they were, national champs. They ran the crap out of the spread. They could run a lot because they had the athletes for it. But, the spread, we get out there and we outrun you. Like, I don't care what you say. Notre Dame, whenever they play a Florida team, is definitely out-athleted.
Yeah.
If that's even a term. But,
beat them too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Things I like talking about, Notre Dame getting beaten.
Yeah. Oh, man, I could do my own show about talking about how much I hate Notre Dame. But yeah, they Taggart figured out that power wasn't the answer here, and we shifted more to a spread. Again, that's what Gulf Coast was a lot more spread oriented and RPOs and all that good stuff. And that's what works when you have Quentin Flowers at the helm, when you have Marlon Mack able to just do whatever you want. Man, we had a three-headed monster at running back, man, with Tice, Johnson, and Mack.
Jesus.
That backfield is ridiculous.
It's absolutely,
yeah.
You got two
absolutely
NFL quality talents there.
It's absolutely criminal that we stopped throwing the ball to DJ the whole time. Thank you, Sterling.
Oh, he got jobbed. He lost millions of dollars because of that. And Mitch, the same thing. Mitch is incredibly underutilized. He's built like Travis Kelce, man.
Yeah.
Right. And he
I
averaged
see
like
Travis
2
Kelce
catches
and
a
him
game.
every time. Yeah, it's ridiculous. He should be getting the ball 10 times.
Right, especially when our receivers, they're not catching.
Yeah. So
Oh.
He's the one guarantee, and we didn't go his way at all this year.
I think we beat that drum pretty heavily this year. I mean, every year and every week in our wrap up, it's like, why are we only using him as a blocker? I mean, he's a great
that
blocker.
damn drum.
He's a great blocker, but
now.
Like I will remember, I remember. This is just the one example off the top of my head. The 44-3 game in Orlando, where they just we absolutely torched them. Now it was a terrible C-dot defense, to be fair, but we also torched them with the tight end all game long, right up the middle. And I have no idea why we get away from that.
Please refer to them by their full name, the Central Florida Golden Knights.
No,
Yeah,
sorry.
Golden Knights.
It's the C-dot Florida Golden Knights.
You go after every single thing that triggers them.
Stupid ass flying horse logo. Fuck my dick.
The Citronauts.
Can we quickly talk about how Conference USA trolled them, calling them the Golden Knights, and they literally responded. We were the Knights for like 4 years after. That was a great move by Conference USA. That I really enjoyed.
Their response was even better with just the gif of them kind of shrugging, like whatever.
It's funny. I don't understand anyone in Orlando at all.
And they think the horns down offends us.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, I couldn't care less about that, man.
No, I put out that tweet today. It's our most liked tweet ever since we've started the thing. UCF fans, horns down so offensive to Bulls fans. We're so clever. CUSF, Golden Knights, UCF fans.
It's always funny when the hate week comes on because we're pretty unbothered and they get so offended at the drop of a hat, man.
So
you talk
funny.
about their building code violations in Spectrum Stadium. And
you don't even have to.
Well, we fill it out though. Shut up.
we have
actually.
What's that website? UCF Stadium Collapse Insurance.com.
Something like that, yeah.
It's so funny.
I do want to ask though, because I saw during the coaching search that one of the knocks on Taggart is that he was the recruiting guy and that he wouldn't be able to run his offense without a Quentin Flowers. Do you feel like if he was given the job, like would that have been the case, or do you feel he would have been the guy to help bring the swagger back and return the program to where it should be?
I think he's a ridiculously good recruiter. When he was here, he took advantage of what he could get, and he actually looked into players, and he looked in and saw if they could play or not. In the high school recruiting game, if Miami offers you, then you get an offer from Virginia, Virginia Tech, North Carolina. That whole conference offers you. Somebody else sees it, they say, oh, the ACC offered them, they offer you too, regardless of looking at film too in depth. But Taggart went out, he picked up Deidre, he picked up DJ, he picked up Mike Love, and all great players. I'm not sure what Jimmy Bays was the only 4-star out of them, I think, and he just picked up 3-star guys that he knew could play. So that's what I really respected about Willie. He didn't just go with the flow and say, oh, this guy's got offers, we'll take him too. Like, he really made sure that they fit and that they were just dogs about football. But you guys talked about, again, one of you guys said something about Danny Hope. You thought it was a terrible hire and then he proved you wrong. My experience with Coach Hope, he knew so much about football, but he barely taught us technique. He just wanted you to get after them and get them bury them into the ground no matter what. And when we did that, we just moved, and it was just like I think great coaches, everyone knows football in the coaching world, but if you can get the intensity out of your players, that's huge. And that's why I like Levitt so much. He's just the most intense guy, and it just breeds around him. Regardless, I don't know if he'd be able to do the same thing that he did, a few years ago here again. But yeah. So going back to it, yeah, I think Taggart would find. I don't think there's another Quentin Flowers in the world. I've never seen anyone move like him before. He was a human cheat code, and it was just phenomenal to watch. I'd watch him on the sideline. I'm just like, my God, is he human? So
what I'm excited for? I'm very excited for the XFL because we get to see Quentin Flowers. Hopefully,
he was in a red shirt. He was in a red penny today.
He's a quarterback, 100%. He's a quarterback. But we get to see him in a team versus BJ Daniels.
Yeah.
What's up?
In Seattle.
Different places in their career, to be fair.
No, I understand.
But at the same time,
a
that's
little
still
more
fun.
juice than the other, but
XFL championship.
If that game's in Tampa, I think everyone should go to that game. I think the stadium will be full up.
There's no doubt in my mind the Vipers are just gonna wipe the floor with people, man.
Yeah.
You think?
I wish the uniforms were better looking. If we're going to be completely honest.
I do love, though, that every time, and you can tell, one of the reasons you can tell there's a dormant USF fan base is because every time the Vipers put anything out relating to anything quarterback, even remotely related,
that's not Quentin.
That one tweet they put out with the two other quarterbacks,
who the fuck is Aaron Murray?
And everyone's like, who are these people? Where's Q? Where's the GOAT?
Right. They finally put a picture of him on the team.
It's like I'm going to go back to my childhood here. It reminds me of the SpongeBob episode where Squidward puts his hand out, the crowd goes silent, comes back. SpongeBob puts his hand out, the crowd goes wild.
Yeah. I mean, obviously they picked him just because he's Q, right? To get the Tampa fans excited.
I think
but we better be
his talent.
No. But I'm talking from like a business strategy point.
Oh, from a business perspective, it's brilliant.
Right. Not because Q can't play. That's not what I'm saying. Q can play. They're going to start Aaron Murray, right?
Probably.
And I want USF. I don't. Okay. No offense to Aaron Murray. I'm sure he's an okay quarterback. but he's not Tampa's quarterback. He has to earn that.
Okay.
Q is Tampa's quarterback. He should be the starter.
Getting back to, like, USF.
Hey, Q's USF.
That's
Q is
true.
USF.
True. But the coaching hires that may or may not be happening with OC and DC
Fair
and all of that.
Right.
What Brooks said about Levitt, I don't know how to convey that to you guys. The energy, because I know, and I don't know about Brooks, but I know I'm the only one out of us, at least, that got to see those teams, and the energy was just palpable. I don't know how to explain it, but it was just different. And Taggart had the same type of energy too. There was just an energy with the team that I don't know. It filled up the whole stadium too. They just exuded energy. And I know that there were all the things that happened, and that whole situation was murky the whole time it happened. Mm-hmm. But it's got to say something that the guys that were in that locker room, like Grothy and other guys who have come out and said they want him back, they saw that whatever incident it was happen, and they're saying he should come back.
Yeah.
But aside from that, if you want a different way to satisfy all those people, like if you're really worried about those people, I hadn't even thought about Selvey being the DC. That satisfies everybody right there, because he's a Levitt guy, and everybody loves Selvey who watched the teams back then. That solves that issue right there.
Yeah, no, Selvey I think is a great name to be DC, former New York Giant, so I like him no matter what.
Love that.
Plus, when I was, I didn't become a USF fan until 2013 when I was a freshman, and I'm looking through the football thing, and one of the first things I see is a picture or a video of George Selvey with the strip sack against Orlando, where he got back there before anybody knew it was there, and the ball's already out. So
I was going to say, which game before you said C, because it seemed like he lived in the backfield.
Oh, without question. But I think you know which play I'm talking about, Tyler.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's like looking at that, it's like wow, have a guy like that as our defensive coordinator. Yeah, I'd be good with that.
Yeah.
Anybody who can be in the league for I'm not a Giants fan, so I can't tell you how long he was in the league, but to have a sustainable career,
he was only on the Giants for like a year.
Right.
I was going to say
he didn't build his career with the Giants. Jason Pierre-Paul built his career with the Giants.
That was terrifying. Those two being on the same team. I just wanted to make that known.
That's not fair.
Yeah, pass rush was insane.
I think they were on the same team when they reunited on the Giants, but it was post JPP blowing his fingers off, and Selvey was at the end of his career, so it wasn't everything we all wanted to see, but it was still awesome to watch.
I thought it was interesting that you said Augie, because that's one thing I always notice about him playing is that he might not have been the most athletic person on the field, but he always seemed like he was the smartest guy on the field. And I think that's definitely something we could use in this locker room right now. Is someone who really, really, really gets football. I'm not saying that we don't have some people like that, but it was always by at least several steps he got the game better than everyone else, it seemed.
I mean, Taggart brought him to Florida State for a reason.
He was captain of the defense.
And he reminds me a lot of Luke Kuechly. If you ever watch Luke Kuechly, man, but Luke Kuechly is a freak athlete as well.
Yeah.
So he's calling out plays before they happen, and I think I forget who was talking about it, but somebody that played against Kuechly was like he was calling out where the ball was going before we audibled, and then we audibled, and then he knew where it was going still. He said he's just a nightmare in the middle of the field. Like if it's anywhere near him, he's already there because of his mind, And that's how Augie was. Is he knew things before they happen. If you ever go back and watch, you'll see him shifting guys in the right place, saying, "Hey, watch this, get over here, play this tight. This is where the ball's going." And our defense was tough when we had Augie leading it.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why I love him at DC is because he's a leader, man. Like he'll step on your toes and he doesn't care, but his interest is to get the job done, win the game, and he gets it done, man.
Well, and that's something I was thinking about too. I was going down that avenue with Larry Scott because he was in consideration for the head coaching, and I was thinking, maybe bring him on as OC, and maybe that's our path to having another long-term coach. But that could easily, I didn't even think to look on the defensive side of the ball, but that could easily happen with a guy like Augie or Selby. They learn under Jeff Scott, and then if/when he decides to leave, maybe that's a promotion and we do get that long-term guy. I was just thinking of it in maybe the wrong person, I guess.
Yeah, I think Augie's Bay made like to his core. I don't know if he would be a guy to chase a check, somewhere. I think he would make a career here. I mean, obviously, as long as he's producing, I don't see why we would want him to go anywhere. But again, this hasn't happened or anything. He's on staff, and I'd love to see him go up through the ranks and everything. But again, I just think I think he is going to be a great coach.
I, at the very least, would like to see him as a linebackers coach, especially because what was he, a quality control analyst, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Just something with him just moving up the ranks, because I agree with what you guys were saying. It's like he always seemed like the smartest guy on the field. He was always where the ball was. I mean, you don't have that many tackles without knowing where the ball is going to be going. And the common theme on the show this season was defense keeps us in the game and we do nothing with it. So that means there's talent on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, imagine learning from a guy who had that many tackles and spearheaded some decent defenses.
I have breaking news.
What?
So USF, there was a JUCO who USF was targeting. Hollywood. I don't know what his real name is.
Anyways.
But he committed to Houston, and Jordan McLeod is sad about it.
Yeah, lame.
Well, it's going to happen with coaching changes. I mean, but you did, when you were talking, Phil, it made me think about a question, actually, Brooks. We hear so much about Sean King and how good of a recruiter is. Like, is he that good of a coach too? Because like a lot of people are talking about wanting to keep him, and I think it's a great idea. But I don't know. I don't know anything about him. I mean,
I have mixed feelings about Coach King.
Yeah.
When he was there under Taggart, loved him because he was coaching QBs, which is his wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Strong decided to keep him on, and I think it's for that recruiting reason. Took over running backs, and somebody again on the show before mentioned like we haven't really seen the production that Pimpleton got out of our running backs. I agree with that. But also when he came in, he liked to please his coaching staff. He was a player's coach under Taggart, and he was, best friends with his guys. But, towards the end there, when, he really started spending more time with strong staff, there was a time during practice we were tight. I mean, we were cool. We would always mess around, joke around, had a good relationship. I remember one day in practice, I was standing by watching the ones run a play, and I didn't catch the call. So I said, "Hey, King, did you hear the play? What's the play?" He said, "I think he told me to play," and then he said, "And don't you ever fucking call me King again. It's Coach King to you." And he meant every word of that, like a dagger. And the running backs looked at me, and I was like, all right. And then later on, they came up to me. They're like, "Yo, what did you do to King?" I don't know, man. Like, I said, "I don't know what I did to deserve that, but it's whatever." Huh. But I mean, and then there was a time I went in, and during spring, I had that shot at becoming starting center, and that's a whole nother animal. I could get into that, but I went in, and every single day during spring, I would go in. I'd text Coach Maddox. I'd text Coach Gill, say, "Hey, can I come and watch some film with you? Can I watch film?" And I come in, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm in the meeting room. Come in." And the entire offensive staff was in the meeting room, and they're like, "Yo, what's up, Larkin?" I'm like, I'm like, what up, my dudes? And I put up a peace sign or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And Gilbert was sitting at the table with his hands above his head, and he goes, "Dudes, don't you mean coaches?" And like, I was like, yeah, I'm sorry about that. So like, it was a total different dynamic where they demanded respect, but they had done nothing to earn it.
I wonder where that
feel
comes
like-
from too, though.
I feel
And
like
I'm spilling some tea here, but I don't care.
But
you can vent, dude. You can vent.
You're gonna be heard
you
by
don't
like
want me
30 people.
You'll get a whole season of podcast if I vent, man.
Yeah.
But,
No, I mean, we have a huge off season coming up. You can come on whenever you want, dude.
We'll just go with the walk-on chronicles.
Yeah.
You should write a
But
book.
yeah, that. So again with King, as a coach, I think he's an incredible quarterback. I think he's an incredible quarterback's coach. I think he can get Bay Area guys here. Is he running backs coach? In my opinion, no.
Mm-hmm.
But keeping him on for recruiting purposes, I don't know if he'd be happy about that.
Yeah.
I mean, this is definitely something that's kind of preoccupying him, but I don't think he would take a lesser role.
Yeah.
And so again, I could take or leave him. So
Okay. I mean, Jeff Scott's coming on, right? He's only 38 years old, which in the coaching world is fairly young.
Yeah.
He seems to have gotten a lot of respect from guys who it seems that he gets the most out of his players. Hunter Renfrow, for example, literally just tweeted, like, he wrote a whole thing, "Appreciate you, coach. I can't wait to see what you do at USF." This is a guy who's in the NFL who didn't have to send anything. Coach Scott seems to have a great rapport with his former players as well as his current players, and I'm super excited to bring that culture back to USF, because this entire season we've seen guys who only want USF to be successful. All these former players say, let me in the room, let me help out. I want to do anything I can to make sure that USF gets back on track. And, it's great to see. And hopefully Coach Scott will let, guys like Q back in, and anyone who wants to come back, and Grothy, if he wants to come back and speak to the players and talk to the coaches and get in the room with Michael Kelly and start doing whatever they can to bring the culture back to where it was, because it sounds like, and you can basically see it on the field, everything you said, where Brooks, where it seems like it's authoritarian instead of a team effort.
Yeah, it was definitely almost like a dictator relationship where they demanded things out of us, and we were just like, under Taggart, we were a family. I love those guys. Like everything with the coaches, they knew their football, and they would do anything for us. And Taggart is huge on the family aspect. Like, we would go to team movies, we would go to the beach, we would, do things as a team, and there was never a time where we didn't want to be with each other. But as soon as that strong staff came in, man, we were trying to get breaks. We were trying to go do anything that wasn't football. Because it became a job that you hated, that's one of the most frustrating things about when I left. I left because I stopped loving the game, and that was a hard thing for me. And like, I'll probably get choked up even just talking about this, but it's like your first love, growing up with football and everything, especially playing it in the amount of hours. And, just, I realized I never had a summer off until I was 22. 22 was my first summer off. I was like, whoa, this is what summer looks like. Normally I'm out here about to pass out from heat stroke. But yeah, so that staff made it a very undesirable job instead of a game that we love and would do anything for. Because and I even talked to, like, I'm really good friends with Nico, and we would always talk about how Nico's story this year with his neck. I told him, I was like, man, I love you. the game doesn't love you back. So you need your neck for the rest of your life. And, I know you love the game, but, just be mindful that, the game doesn't love you as much as you love it. And dude, that Nico loved the game more than anybody. And you could still tell he still stayed around, and he was a player coach, and he's just a great guy. But again, so that staff came in, and we just lost it. We lost that family bond. We lost what drove us to be that great, South Florida team that we were. And it was tough. But the thing was, a lot of those guys were, binded by their scholarship. I was still a walk-on. And, looking back, that might have been a good thing for me, because if I was on scholarship, I would have sat in second string and I would have taken my beating. I would have got my education and left. I said, but I'm not paying thousands of dollars to basically be abused.
Right. And they don't pay your bills.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it was, and I know, and when I left, obviously I left on the not the most popular of ways. I called out a few guys, but I did that knowing that at least 80% of the team felt the exact same way. However, they couldn't do anything about it. If they said anything along the lines that I did, they would have been, crucified. They would have never had anything.
Right.
So I had the freedom to do it, and that's why I did it. And, looking back, a lot of people are like, oh, are you sure, you did that? Are you sure you did the right thing? I was like, yeah, I think it got the ball rolling. I think it kind of, got people's eyes open to the situation at hand. And I'm not saying that I was, an influencer by any means, but I wanted to kind of shed some light on how wrong, that was. To take something that I had loved for 22 years of my life, and in 1 year destroy it. It's hard to take, but yeah. So
all right, well,
some of what I got.
Interesting.
I will say, and I'm trying to temper expectations, because I will admit I was excited when we hired Charlie Strong because we had a big name coming in. But I was too. I will say what feels different is, from a fan's perspective, and you're on social media, all we saw for when Charlie Strong got hired was Texas fans saying, "Look out." If you go to Jeff Scott's Twitter, there's probably a couple hundred comments on when he says thank you to Clemson that everyone's like, I'm in tears, but I'm thrilled for you. And it's like, it kind of feels like, and you don't win 2 national championships. I'm just hoping he can kind of bring that family vibe back to that you were saying that existed under Taggart.
Yeah, and that I didn't have a social media presence. I maybe made a Twitter. I don't even remember when I made Twitter, but I didn't start using it until maybe 3 years ago. So I wasn't really big into seeing what fans were saying about Charlie. I thought originally they didn't give him enough of a chance at Texas, but what, he got 2 or 3 years?
Mm-hmm.
And then I looked back into it, and I was like, well, Texas makes more money than any program in the country. They pull in, I believe it's $265 million a year off of football alone. That's incredible. And there's no reason why, you should fail with resources like that. And I think who's out there right now? It's not Applewhite, is it? It's Herman?
Herman.
Mm-hmm.
Herman, I think, is going to be great this year. I originally picked Texas to beat LSU in that opening week, and then I realized Joe Burrow is
An
NFL quarterback in the NCAA, and I got my butt handed to me on that one. But a healthy Texas, I think, is a playoff Texas under a good coach who is Herman and has the resources. But getting back to Strong, not doing well at Texas, I thought it was, kind of like a Taggart situation in FSU where, like, you need time. You got to get in your recruits. You got to, build your culture. And that doesn't take 1 year. It takes, 3.
Right.
But then I realized how many players left. I think it was like half the team at Texas left or something like that. And I was like,
a lot of guys.
I took the side of just about every other boomer that was like, oh, they're not tough enough. they they couldn't work. They weren't, whatever. And I was like, oh, maybe he's just so tough, and he's trying to build his own guys that they just didn't fit and they're gone. But now I realize why they left, because I also left. And who's still on from Taggart's original staff or Taggart's original recruiting?
I think there's like 2 guys left, right?
There's not many left at all.
Yeah, and it's just blatantly obvious, So especially, I think that's one of the worst things that happened to Strong is that transfer portal opening up.
Mm-hmm.
That gave everybody an out. It's not sitting for a year. So yeah. I'm excited to see Scott. Especially with hearing about it's like the equivalent to having 5-star reviews. And like what you're getting.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting this quality guy, quality coach, and I have yet to see him do a bad thing at Clemson with the offense.
Yeah, to me it sounds like we're going from Jack Link's beef jerky to A5 grade Wagyu beef.
Okay, that's a reference.
Are you hungry?
Yeah,
I'm always hungry. It sounds like there was the culture shift that Strong brought with him was had such a negative impact on the players and the team as a whole that it collapsed what was a successful program. We were 7-0 once.
Oh my God!
Oh, stop! I was guilty of that. But stop.
Yo, I lost it when you said that.
But it is what it is. We have a brand new coach who hopefully brings a little bit of that Clemson swagger to USF. I think we can only move forward from where we currently are. Hopefully we choose coordinators who fit his schemes. That it'd be cool if we kept at least Brian J. Murray, because that defense was awesome last year, or the current year.
I'm a bit concerned about what happens if we keep Bell. And I don't know anything about him, obviously, but
right.
If they clash, if they're not trying to run the same offense, that's my only concern keeping Bell, because obviously, hopefully, Tate Rodmaker is the recruit that he's looking for, but at the same time, I wonder how those two coexist, both being big offensive minds. That concerns me a little bit.
Oh, honestly, it's either you coexist or you get the fuck out, Bell. Because he had 1 year. He's only signed for 2. If he can't coexist, that's on him. And he'll be replaced pretty much immediately. I'm sure Jeff Scott has a list of guys he would bring on for himself that aren't Kerwin Bell, but he might want Kerwin Bell so that he gets Rodemaker and all these recruits, because he is a good recruiter. We saw over the last week and a half that Bell is going to everyone's home, and they all have like, one kid had like a big USF like statue or something, or a fathead on their wall. Like, they all have T-shirts. Like, he's a good recruiter. I don't know if he's a good offensive coordinator yet, because in the offense that Strong ran, according to what Brooks was saying, he's kind of a dictator. He's stubborn.
It's hard to tell what was Strong's impact and what was Bell's offense.
So you give him the year, and then you see what happens. If we suck again, you know what? We sucked again.
Yeah. I can't make any judgments on Bell. I know his past at Valdosta, he was very successful, but I don't know what kind of quarterback he likes. I know that Scott likes a mobile quarterback because he had Deshaun Watson, Kelly Bryant, and Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
And every one of them could hurt you, man. I mean, if you watch some Clemson games this year, they're running Trevor Lawrence a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And it scares me every time, because I'm like, yo, that horse is galloping. And he just gets his legs taken out from under him, and it scares me every time. But they're not afraid to use an athletic quarterback, and I'm like, dude, that's a Florida quarterback.
I was gonna say, I have maybe a question for you. Like, do you think a pocket QB can be a thing at USF? Because I don't know if I do.
He would have to be incredibly good with the football, and he'd have to be NFL style where the ball is gone in 4 seconds. Because again, if you look at the sieve we had in front of our quarterbacks this year, it's Q made the O-line look good a lot.
Yeah.
And that's coming from me as an O-lineman. You know, I'd love to say that we protected him tooth and nail every time. We did the best we could.
Mm-hmm.
We blew assignments every now and then, and he made them pay. It wasn't even a design play. I don't know if you guys remember that play against UConn. It was
how can I forget?
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
Where he juked 3 times in the backfield, and I'm like, oh, that's a loss. 60 yards for a touchdown, 60 plus. I was like, Q, what is up, man? Like,
what are you doing?
You can't even do that on Madden. You can't do that.
These are somebody's sons, man. You can't do that to them.
No, they're his sons. They're his sons.
Yeah,
Q is 100% daddy in that situation.
All these sheep watching the goat run by. You know, it was just. It's phenomenal, but you know, going back to it, a pocket passer. I can't think of a pocket passer that's been successful at a Florida program. You know, lately, Tebow wasn't a pocket passer at Florida.
No.
You know that he was a fullback with an arm.
Was Jameis one?
Jameis was. You know, interesting fact is I ran a faster 40 than Jameis.
Whoa!
I don't doubt it. He was a bad
I ended up
guy.
Yeah.
I
ran a 4.9. I ran a 4.9 when I was 310, I believe.
Ooh.
And I could scoot, man.
Yeah.
But Jameis ran, I think, a 4.95 at his combine. I was like, yo, I'm faster than Jameis. So, you know, I put that on my resumes now. But
that's amazing.
Oh my.
But yeah, so Jameis is I think one of the only successful pocket passers, you know, for a Florida offense.
But I mean,
and he was just talented.
How big is that dude though? I mean, he's got to be able to shrug people off. Like
yeah, we definitely breed that just a very athletic quarterback that, you know, and Q, you knew he could throw the deep ball like nobody's business.
Yeah.
You know, he just and then he could run out of his shoes, you know. So we don't have I can't even think of a pocket passer in the NCAA right now, you know.
Do you think you could even? Do you think you could really ever be?
Yeah, but he moves.
He moves.
Too. True.
Yeah,
like the thing is when you think about old USF, like all the USF quarterbacks, you've got Grothy, you've got BJ, you've got Q. They all move, but then you've got guys like Mike White, good quarterback, got drafted.
Dallas Cowboy.
Is he still on a roster, I think.
He's a Dallas Cowboy backup. I think he's.
But
the
couldn't work here because we don't have those big guys like you were talking about, those corn-fed guys to give him that solid pocket. You know.
Right. So yeah, it's just using what you got, man. You know, just if you have, you know, a type of athlete that's better at one thing, it's like you can't really, you know, you can't cater to a pocket passer if you're not going to give him all day.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, it's.
I will say I did get a chance to talk to. So one of my old contacts with the Rays actually got to play for Jeff Scott. He was the long snapper on the team that ironically won the national championship in Tampa. Which, side note, the guy who actually won the national championship would never talk about it, unlike that school who beats you over the head with it, with their national title.
National
you put it? Did you say you put that
massive...
in air quotes, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Because we're not. It's radio, so we're not. You can't see you.
Of course, but anyway, so yeah.
How's everyone supposed to know I'm wearing my best suit then? Shit.
You own a nice suit.
It's 10:00 at night, dude. No.
Anyway, but so I got a chance to talk to him. He just mentioned that he was the brains of the Clemson offense. very nice man, kind of a quiet guy, but we'll try to take some of Dabo's personality to apply it. But, it might not be the most natural thing for him. But the big thing he also said is he's the recruiting wizard, which, we did see. I believe he's the one who recruited Ray McLeod, if I'm not mistaken. So it was just interesting getting a chance to talk to somebody who's actually in the locker room and got to live the culture that they built at Clemson.
Right. All right. So let's transition. We talked a lot about coordinators. We talked a lot about football in general. Something fun is every year USF Athletics and USF social media will rebrand usually based on their coaches, right? Under Charlie, it was Bull Strong. Under Taggart, it was #Do Something, which he took over to
everywhere.
And we also had Bulls Unite, which was my favorite one.
That was a good one.
Scott doesn't have a name you can really play with.
Great Scott.
It's going to be Great Scott, Ryan. That's the answer.
It better not.
We can move on now.
I want to say, if it's going to be Great Scott, I was the first person to use the GIF, so they could everyone else can suck my dick.
Did you just call it GIF?
It's GIF.
It's both.
It's GIF.
The creator of it.
That's a whole nother podcast, guys.
Listen, the creator of it.
Ryan, I will drive down to
the way I
Boca
do.
and punch you into the ocean.
I've been begging for you to visit me for months now, and you haven't. So I know you won't. I just want to say I put this quote. I put the question out on Twitter, and I got a few responses from State of the USF. I got #Scott Harder Scott Faster from the Bullhorn, which is a new account that I think just started. I want to shout out them. It's going to be something. #Just Win.
Just win, baby.
And then
win.
Sierra Cheyenne wrote #Bull Scott. #Together We Ride and #Scott Stampede.
I think I'm gonna make T-shirts that says Scott's Tots.
Scott.
Yes.
Ooh, I like that.
We should rename the student section.
I don't know if that'll strike fear into the American Conference. But
Scott Tots coming at you.
No, but what you should do instead of a T-shirt is open up a food stand in Raymond James Stadium and sell tater tots with whatever you
that's
want.
brilliant, man.
Food truck.
That's brilliant.
Forget the podcast.
We're opening a food truck, guys.
Let's do it.
And every tot is green and gold.
There you
Boom.
go. Oh, that'd be so easy because
Money.
you only have to dye half of them.
Exactly.
We could do lime green on SoFlo nights,
The most entrepreneurial podcast you'll ever listen to. Oh my gosh. What I'll just be curious to see is just how much it stabilizes recruiting, and if you're interested in listening or with recruiting, Will Turner at 247 Bulls he was one of the first people to actually break the news. So friend of the show, so give him a listen. He knows what he's talking about with recruiting.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm. Anything else we want to talk about regarding football?
Please bring the Roadheims or the road sign home.
Yeah.
Oh God.
What was that?
What the hell?
I'm hearing a little.
That I think was Tyler again. He just turned his mic off and it went away.
Attaboy, Tyler.
This is fantastic.
Phil is enjoying way too much.
Is it okay now?
Him. Yes.
Yeah,
Oh
what's
God,
happening, man? You should buy some $5 headphones.
I was moving.
I know what to get you for Christmas now.
Carl, can I get your word that this is going out of the podcast?
I think
I
I'll make you sweat.
I went to get a beer.
You can't. What the fuck?
No, now it's staying in. That's guaranteed.
That's fine.
Should I go
weenie?
Should I go get a beer too?
I
Did you
mean,
microwave it? Like, why did that sound?
well, I had to because
Tyler microwaves his beers, confirmed.
Do you drink hot beer?
I think it's because I moved off of Wi-Fi because it was being bad. So I'm off the Wi-Fi now. So I think it's just acting.
Oh, you're
weird.
not recording from your Samsung smart fridge. You
No.
got to be closer to your beer friend.
That is closer to the microwave, so maybe. No, but I don't have anything about football either anymore.
All right.
So
Bring the road sign home. That's it.
Brooks, any closing remarks on football?
I'm just excited to really be a Bulls fan again. I kind of had to distance myself when I left because of the way I left, and I knew that was going to be hard, but I'm ready to put that green and gold on for every game this year, because I really, for the past 2 years, I just kind of if I was there and saw the game on, yeah, cool, but it was hard to watch, so much potential go to waste. So I wasn't a fan,
Right.
of watching us. I was always
Well,
a Bull, and I even left, I said, I love this program and the fans deserve better. I'll be a Bull forever. So I'm just excited to get this, breath of fresh air that I think Scott is going to bring. And, I don't know how long it's going to take, but I know it's better than what we had.
Well, let me be the first one to welcome you back to the most depressed fan base in Florida sports, other than the Dolphins.
And now I'm sad that Justin isn't here for that rib.
he knows it.
He knows it.
So let's transition. Phil, do you want to do a short basketball update on how we're doing this year?
So the men, they were flat as flat could be coming back after their win over Furman. They got to play Dartmouth. Took care of business. Took them a while to get into the game.
It took them like the entire half to get into the game. My God.
To be fair,
they did it.
To be fair, the second half they were unstoppable, and they finished with a 19-point victory. Now let me pull up the
we get a traditional
just
free throws.
Just the eye test from that game, because I was actually there. The first half was the hardest thing to watch I've seen in quite a while in USF basketball, because neither team could get anything at all. For a while, we were on track for both teams to score 30 points total in the game. It was incredible. And then suddenly and then suddenly USF really, both teams started actually shooting better in the second half, but USF absolutely just took off. The game became very fun very quickly, is what was being said in the stands.
So do we want turnovers or free throw first tonight?
Whatever.
Free throws are terrible.
Hit me.
Bad news.
Free throws, 9 of 19 for 47.4%.
Not ideal.
Turnovers, 17.
Also not ideal.
Most of those were in the first 15 minutes of the game.
They did force 21 turnovers though, so at least they were positive on the night.
Also, mostly in the first 15 minutes of the game.
I didn't get a chance to watch it. From what I heard, the first 5 to 10 minutes were just an absolute shit show.
I'm legitimately not kidding when I say there was a time in which it was legitimately both teams were on track for 30 points each.
I feel like that's the last step, is consistency. And it feels like that is everything in every sport, is just consistency. Because if they can play like they did in the second half for both halves, we're going to be a really good basketball team, because it cuts down on turnovers. And it's just I think he'll figure it out, because he's been a good coach the whole time he's been here. It's just a matter of when is it going to happen.
I will say it seems like we're getting a little bit closer to, life without Yetna, life without Kerr. And, they're going to have another 9 days to, I'm not going to say put it together, because they're taking 9 days off because of exams. But they don't play again until Sunday at home against Drexel, a team they probably should beat before going to the Battleground 2K19 to take on Utah State in Houston.
Sounds like a video game.
Oh, I know. It sounds like one of those randomly generated tournaments you would play in the old 2K basketball games for college.
Right.
But they're going to get battle tested very, very quickly, because they play Utah State on December 18th before going down to your part of the world, Hafty, for a matchup with Florida State.
Which everyone is invited to chill on my couch for.
I unfortunately will not be able to make it back.
I don't give a fuck.
Ouch.
Wow.
Yeah, you know what? You're in Oklahoma boy now, you fancy shithead.
Hey, I'm coming back. Hey. moving over to the women, they looked pissed about how it went in Mexico, and they also had a team they should beat in Alabama State, considering Alabama State's point total was 8 in the first, 14 in the second, 6 in the third, 1 in the fourth quarter for a total of 29 points. So it was pretty much just an exhibition, but an exhibition that only cost us 2 of our best players in Mathunga and Pinzon, who are out for unspecified amount of time with injury because this school is built on an Indian burial ground, and yeah.
So also there for that game, Manunga, she had her leg wrapped like it was like she pulled something in high in her leg. So we'll probably see her again this season. I would want to think, because it was iced, it was wrapped. Yes, she was using crutches, but it's just easier when you've pulled a muscle. Pinzon, I don't think we'll see again this year. She went down immediately in tears, and it was hard to listen to. The whole place went absolutely pin quiet. And when she was on the ground, I heard her say something about it's the same one while she was holding her ankle. So I was like,
No.
well,
I don't think you were the only person to report that either.
Yeah, I mean, I told Will what was going on there. It was not good. So hopefully it wasn't as bad as we think it was, but be prepared for it to be as bad as we think it is, because for now, Maria Alvarez, it's your team.
What is encouraging is, do you remember last year when Kit went down, and almost within 48 hours there was a press release saying she was out for the season. This game was back on the 6th, so still only 3 days ago, but we still haven't heard anything to say she's done for the year. So at least it's not glaringly obvious, but just a tough break for somebody who was hurt last year and battled to get back. So yeah, it is Maria Alvarez's team. She was named to the AAC honor roll this week, along with David Collins for the men's team. So just tough break. They'll play Idaho on December 15th before they get to play Mississippi State on the 19th. So another chance to pick up a big win, which they might
had a
need.
Hard schedule.
Which they might need after dropping to South Dakota State, Florida Gulf Coast, and Notre Dame in 3 days. So they're going to need some wins.
It does suck that we had these injury breaks and that Pinzon isn't going to be able to play for the next couple of weeks at least.
Oh, at minimum.
But there's plenty of talent on this team. We can still get where we're trying to go. It's just going to take a little while to really get there, especially considering the fact that they went to Mexico and looked fairly poor. It happens sometimes. They'll figure it out.
Oh no! If there's any coach on campus,
this is a long-term team we've got right here. This is a team that's going to be here for quite a while. We're going to be very good the next couple seasons.
All right.
I do want to. Anything else for basketball?
All I wanted to say before I went back to the future was
Great Scott.
Yes. These are the growing pains I was worried about. But it's a young team. We'll go through them, and we'll be better for them in the long run. That's all.
We'll be fine. I do want to give quick shout out to since we're sort of wrapping up the fall sports today. Women's soccer, the coaching staff was named by United Soccer Coaches to be the staff of the year for the South region. So that includes Florida State and all them who, by the way, Florida State got absolutely blown out in the Elite Eight. So, oh dear, that would have been terrifying. On the men's side, United Soccer Coaches also named 2 Bulls, Jervain Brown to the second team for the All Region, and Adrian Billhart to the third team. So some of the Bulls getting some recognition. I don't think there was any doubt, though, that Denise and her staff deserve Staff of the Year.
Like I said, their game planning at the end of the season was immaculate. It was so good. And like I said, I've had plenty of gripes with them. I had no complaints about this. They did exactly what they needed to do. They accomplished exactly what they were hoping to accomplish. And yeah, Well deserved.
All right. So that's it for basketball and pretty much the whole show, I think. I'm just trying to scroll up and make sure we didn't miss anything.
Hockey.
Shout out to hockey.
Gotta shout out hockey for that.
Gotta shout out hockey. Those boys beat the ever-living motherfucking shit
All right. Just throw all
out of
in there.
Michigan. Yeah, I'll throw them all in there, man.
You might as well. They've knocked
When it
off
comes
the number one team.
beat the number one team in the country in Michigan.
Hey,
And they were never in
Tampa
danger.
Hockey team, that's not making my heart sad. So,
Yes.
There you go. Those.
oh, shut up, Sabres.
You're still below me.
3-0 against you.
You're still below me.
3-0 against you.
We'll save that for another day.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, no, honestly, that team was never in. I didn't get to watch it, but if you look at the scoreline, they were never in danger of losing that game. They jumped down 2-0 early, gave one back, and almost immediately got it back. So nice 3-1 win.
Yeah, those boys know how to play some hockey. I look forward to seeing them on the Lightning one day. Hopefully, they all stay together. They're so fun to watch too.
Those games are just enjoyable.
Yeah, if you're ever like wondering what you should be doing, it's during this off season. It's go watch the USF Ice Bowls because they're so good and they're so much fun. I wish I lived in Tampa still because I would go to every single game. I swear.
Honestly, like you can make an evening out of it. It's a beautiful facility in Wesley Chapel. You can go ice skate beforehand. There's dinner options, a pretty solid restaurant in there, and just if you like hockey in any way, shape, or form, that's the place to be.
Basically, the only thing to do in Pasco County too. So,
hey, they have a really big goodwill. My
USF management professor always said nothing good ever happens in Pasco County.
Yeah. Well,
all right. Exactly.
Debatable.
Anything else we want to shout out before I start doing a conclusion of the show?
Football, all conference guys, or did we go over that last week?
I think you guys named it last week, if I'm not mistaken.
Brooks listens to our show better than we do.
Well, I wasn't here last week, so.
Oh, I do have one. God, who was it? I know we had an academic All-American.
Oh, it was our kicker.
Trent. Yep. So Trent Schneider named academic All-American. So congratulations to him. It's the second one in USF history.
He's for the brand, man.
For the brand.
Yeah, very smart athletes.
Yes.
I mean, judging by Brooks, we have some of the smartest dudes I've ever heard speak in my entire life.
Guys, this is the quality of podcast that you probably not hear again in a long time, so enjoy it while we got it.
Yes.
All right. Is that it?
Devin Sudstill also did get an invitation to play in the NFLPA Bowl.
That's right.
Let's go. That's nice.
He's well deserved.
Yeah, Studstill, still a Studstill. What's up?
Wow.
I know.
That hurt a little bit.
It should hurt. It should be painful.
I'm sure he's never heard that before in his life.
No, I tweeted at him like every week about the same thing. I'm
still gonna punch you into the ocean.
Do it.
KJ Sale was also named an honorable mention All-American by Pro Football Focus College.
Oh, I had a shower thought the other day.
No,
every time he gets a pick or a turnover, we should be playing Sale by AWOL Nation over the last few years.
We'll do that if he decides not to declare.
Give him a year.
I really, really hope he does come for a senior year, because watching him in this new coaching staff, I think is going to be a lot of fun.
Right.
From a fan's perspective, I hope he stays. But
yeah, I'll be selfish.
He's got to do what's
right for him.
All right. That's it for the Bullseye Podcast, episode 10. It was a hell of a show. I want to thank Brooks Larkin for making it on this week. Man, come back whenever you want. You don't even have to ask.
I'll just pop in.
Just pop in.
Just randomly.
Yeah, that's what Justin does anyways.
Yeah.
Just pop in I was in the area. Just figured I'd hop in the podcast.
Yep.
Anytime.
I appreciate you guys having me on. It's nice to talk football with some Bulls fans.
Oh,
for sure.
Tonight was fun.
Yeah, you know what? I think I learned a
absolutely.
lot. I think I learned a lot
Yeah.
about that the Charlie Strong transition that I didn't know before, and I'm super thankful for all that you shared.
Yeah.
We might need the second show, the walk-on though.
Yeah, I definitely have. This is definitely the tip of the iceberg of what I did give you guys. There's a whole lot more, and I try to keep it as unbiased as possible. Because I mean, obviously there's always my side, their side, and the truth. I try to keep it,
Right.
as close to the truth as possible. So, because I mean, my truth is the truth to me, but I mean, I don't want it to come off as me being, biased and cocky, and someone else say that, oh, it never really was that way. But but yeah, I've gotten over it a lot. So I take the facts and the stuff that I really do still feel strongly about, and I'll share that. But I have no problem talking about things that happened because, well, it's true and they did happen.
Mm-hmm. All right, cool. You guys can follow Brooks Larkin online on Twitter at _real_Larkin and on Instagram at moving_W8. So again, thank you so much, Brooks, for joining us. That's it for the show. Hope everybody enjoyed it. You can follow us everywhere at the Bullseye Podcast, on Twitter at Just Bullseye Cast. We have a YouTube channel. No one watches the videos, but they go up. We're everywhere you can find your podcasts, from Apple to Spotify to Pocket Casts, whatever you name it. It is what it is. Football is going to be good this year. I'm excited for it. New coaching staff, new opportunities.
Go Bulls.
Go Bulls.
Go Bulls.
Go Bulls.